Hey gang! Happy Monday, the start of another week in semi-lockdown. I don't know about you, but when I see my friends now and I go home, I get this huge come down. I feel very intensely happy and then intensely alone. But, you know, that's just how it is. And the feelings come and they go. It's quite nice and sunny today, so I thought I'd sit outside, and I was going to read anyway, so I'm going to read with you guys. We are reading On the Path to Enlightenment, and we've done quite a lot of chapters. We're on chapter 8 now, which is about virtue. Specifically, it is called the 6 perfections of transcendent virtues. So I had an idea what the altruistic love and compassion would be a bit about, but I have no idea about these transcendent virtues, so let's find out together. Chapter 8, the 6 perfections of transcendent virtues. If we compare the altruistic desire to attain enlightenment for the good of all to the wish to go on a journey, the journey itself would be the practice of the 6 transcendent virtues: generosity, discipline, patience, joyous effort, concentration, and wisdom. That will perfectly accomplish the double acquisition of merit and wisdom. Those virtues can only really be called transcendent if they are practiced with the understanding that the 3 aspects of whatever one does, the subject, object, and the action itself, are empty of intrinsic reality. In other words, the first 5 virtues become truly transcendent insofar as they are impregnated with the 6th, wisdom. Transcendent generosity, for example, is not just the act of giving, but a natural expression of freedom from the notions of I and mine. It then performs the dual function of relieving the immediate suffering of those in need and contributing to the enlightenment of those who practice it. That enlightenment is the ultimate remedy for suffering. Okay, they have lots of quotes from Buddhist monks, and I try and pronounce their names, but bear with me. This is Sakya Pandita. Equipped with the powerful body of the perfectly pure view, free of elaborations, with the limbs of perfectly pure meditation, free from distraction, and the turquoise mane of perfectly pure action, this is the meditator, like a lion of the snows. Wearing the armour of unlimited accomplishment of the benefit of beings, with the horse of the 2 accumulations spurred by courage, bearing the sword of wisdom that slays the horde of mental poisons, this is the meditator, like a hero on the battlefield. Rich with the treasure of the 3 unstained disciplines, providing beings with material goods and protection against fear, and leading them on the path of liberation through the gift of Dharma, this is the meditator who gathers beings to work for their good. This describes the 3 kinds of supreme meditators. Okay. This is Drigung Dondrup Kogyal. Generosity free from expectation is like the confidence of a sower. Whatever needs to grow will grow, and nothing will be lost. Thus, extract the quintessence of your gifts. That is my advice from the heart. The triple discipline is like the sword of a hero. It cuts the bonds of cyclic existence that negative emotions hide. Be mindful, careful, and full of restraint. That is my advice from the heart. Patience is like unbreakable armour that anger is unable to pierce. Under its protection, virtues grow. Through it, obtain the marks of a Buddha. That is my advice from the heart. The 3 kinds of joyous effort are like spurs spurring a superb mount. With them, The supreme Dharma will quickly free you from cyclic existence. Apply this sovereign method to achieve the ultimate goal. That is my advice from the heart. Meditation in equipoise is like a vast palace. By establishing yourself in it peacefully, you take rest from conditioned existence. Train yourself without distraction in deep concentration. That is my advice from the heart. Wisdom is like a flawless eye whose vision penetrates all phenomena without confusing them. Maintain this torch of the path of liberation. That is my advice from the heart. We have an asterisk. There are 3 types of joyous effort, or diligence. 1. Armour-like effort, which is resistant to all adverse circumstances. 2. Effort in action, which can take the path of awakening to completion. And 3. Insatiable effort, which is never satisfied with what we have already done and never lets the commitments that we have taken weaken or decline. Hi Mark, hi Ben, hi everyone. Oh, there's a few more planes in the sky now. Anyway, we won't wait for them. This is Jigme Lingpa. Virtue that is filled with loving kindness and compassion is generosity when practiced for the sake of beings. It is discipline when free from self-concern, and patience when untiring for the sake of others. It is diligence when done with vibrant joy, and concentration when enacted with one-pointed mindfulness. It is wisdom when there is no clinging to the reality of things. From virtues such as this, the 6 perfections never separate. This is Atisha. What are the best elements of the path? Ku, Nok, and Drom asked Jowo Atisha. Atisha replied, "The best scholar is one who has realized the absence of true existence. The best monk is one who has subdued his mind. The best quality is great altruism. The best instruction is to always watch the mind. The best medicine is to know that nothing has independent existence. The best conduct is one that is not in accord with those of the world. The best achievement is the progressive reduction of negative emotions. The best sign of accomplishment is the steady decline of desires. The best generosity is non-attachment. The best discipline is pacifying the mind. The best patience is humility. The best effort is abandoning ordinary activities. The best concentration is the unaltered state of mind. The best wisdom is to not believe in the real existence of anything. The best teacher is the one who attacks your hidden faults. The best instruction is one that hits your secret faults. The best friends are mindfulness and vigilance. The best incentives for practice are enemies, obstacles, illness, and suffering. The best method is to not alter the mind. The best benefit is to have set someone on the path of Dharma. The best way to help others is to turn their mind to the path of liberation. This is Geshe Potawa Rinchen Sel. We wander from time immemorial in this vast ocean of suffering of the 3 realms of samsara through not knowing our own minds. This misunderstanding is due to our obscurations. Those obscurations come from not having been able to acquire merit and wisdom. That ignorance comes from lack of faith, and that lack of faith from not having death in mind. Now that you are frightened by the sufferings of samsara, you want to attain liberation and the omniscience of Buddhahood. To do that, you must know your own mind. To know it, you must purify your obscurations, and for that, acquire merit and wisdom. To acquire those 2 things, faith is essential, and genuine faith will not appear without having death in mind. When you really think about death, nothing but the Dharma will seem useful to you. You will not feel the slightest attraction to the perfections of the world. Hi, Drew. This is Drigung Dondrup Chogal. The wealth we have accumulated is like bees' honey. It takes all our efforts, and in the end, others get it instead of us. Produce merit and practice generosity. That's my advice from the heart. Hi, Sean. This is Mipan Rinpoche. Even if I cling to my possessions, I will have no choice but to leave, abandoning everything. So I will cultivate generosity and achieve what is best for this life and the next. Giving, however small, produces great effects. Even great wealth does little good. Even if through being generous in the past I am rich in this life, if I give nothing in this life, I'll be poor in the next. They are accumulated, protected, and lost. Riches have faults without number. Even if the earth was covered with riches, the desire of beings would still not be satisfied. Apart from food, shelter, and a few other things, everything is redundant and a cause of torment. Give, and your wealth will grow like the waters of a river swelling in summer. The nature of generosity is to have no attachment to material wealth and to have a giving, open-handed attitude toward others. There are 3 kinds of generosity: the giving of material possessions, the giving of protection from fear, and the giving of the sacred Dharma. The gift of material things. Those who are only beginning to train in the general activities of the Bodhisattvas, and this is particularly true for the practice of giving, will find themselves much hampered by feelings of niggardliness, and will experience difficulty even in making gifts of food. They must train themselves gradually, like the man in the story who started out by transferring small objects from one hand to another, with the thought that he was simply giving. In the end, he was able to perform feats of great generosity. The gift of protection from fear. This means to protect the lives of those who are imprisoned or are being punished and tortured. It means to protect wild animals that are being chased by hunters, or cattle and sheep destined for the slaughterhouse, and to help people who are endangered by disease and evil forces. It also means to train one's mind in the aspiration actually to liberate all beings from the endless suffering of samsara, the source of constant fear, and to bring them to the perfect ease of nirvana. Beginners should practice generosity according to their true capacity, for the danger is that if they do not have the ability to give what is difficult to give and overreach themselves imprudently, they will fall into discouragement and regret, and there is a risk that the attitude of the bodhicitta will be lost. Hi, Seb. The true gift of Dharma is to impart instruction to others according to their mental capacity. However, it is difficult for people who are on the level of aspirational practice to give teachings in this way, since they are unable to expound the Dharma clearly, either in word or meaning. At this stage, one should consider the altruistic attitude as the main practice and endeavour earnestly, with mindfulness and vigilance, in the task of clearing away defiled emotions according to the instructions of one's spiritual teacher. For someone whose mind is free, untouched by the 8 worldly concerns and uncluttered by distraction and busyness, the main thing is to bring benefit to others. One should then teach the Dharma to others according to their type, capacity, aspiration, and character, from the principles of karma through to the great perfection. Okay, so that was all. Maybe that was all an introduction, yeah. So we're going now to the first of these 6 virtues, and this one is discipline. I wish for more discipline. The essence of discipline is the firm decision to refrain from harming others and even from having the idea of doing so. It is a repudiation of all that is contrary to the precepts. The teachings on discipline are expounded under 3 headings. 1. The avoidance of negative actions of thought, word, and deed. 2. The undertaking of positive actions. And 3. Benefiting others. Okay. Yeah, I think I want discipline more about me than... Interesting though, because it does affect everything else, doesn't it? How you treat yourself. Okay, that's a short one. Next one's got more to it. The next one is patience. Who wants more patience? Sometimes it feels in lockdown like there's too much patience going on. To stop being patient. Anyway, patience. Gam Popper says, to practice patience for purely selfish ends and not in order to help others is to act like a cat, whose sole purpose is to kill the mouse. Patience is essentially the ability to bear with suffering. It is the fertile soil in which the flowers of Dharma, in other words, the 3 disciplines, can grow and spread their perfume of good qualities. Encircling these flowers like a protective fence are the 3 kinds of patience. The first is the patience to bear the sufferings and difficulties that occur while one is striving for the 2-fold goal, Buddhahood for one's own sake and the accomplishment of the welfare of others. The second kind of patience is the ability to put up with the injuries that others might inflict, while the third kind is the ability to confront, without fear or apprehension, the doctrine of emptiness and profound teachings. The mischiefs that flow from anger are boundless. Just as it is impossible to remove the briars from a forest of thorns, so that the only way to escape harm is not to go there or shoe our feet with leather, it is impossible to halt the onslaught of adversity. Irritated and dismayed by what we do not want, we experience impulses of anger and resentment that are hard to control, and everyone's mind gets infected in the same way. The first thing to occur is the perception that a given object is in some way unwanted, and then feelings of displeasure arise. If, however, we are able to bring the impulse under control before it hardens and becomes established, the arduous practice of patience will prove a good friend. As the proverb says, hit the pig on the snout, clean the butter lamp while it is still warm. Okay, there's an asterisk. An angry pig that charges will flee immediately if it is struck on the snout with a stick because of the shock. It is much easier to clean a butter lamp while it is still hot before the butter hardens. Okay. When we are criticised by someone, our hearing faculty and consciousness all interact so that the statement provokes a strong feeling of displeasure. A sharp sensation of pain is experienced, as if an arrow had pierced our heart and tore it open. Nevertheless, if the situation is examined properly, we can see that the words themselves are just like an echo. Even if they appear to hit their mark, they are, in themselves, unable to inflict real damage. But what normally happens in this kind of situation? Our habitual way of thinking, which identifies the word with the thing it designates, takes the words as genuinely harmful, and the interplay of assailant and assailed is set in motion. Thus we are disturbed and suffer. In our present situation, all the causes of physical and mental suffering, beating, fighting, robbing, slander, and the like, seem to come from other people. But the cause of them all is in ourselves. They are like booming echoes returning to their source. Indeed, if we had no ego clinging, there would be none for the enemy to attack. So we should reflect how situations of conflict are called forth by our own past actions. Moreover, if we think about it, we can see that patience can only ever arise in adversity. Thanks to the hostility of enemies, we can embark on the ship of patience and sail upon the ocean of the Mahayana, gaining for ourselves the precious jewel of bodhicitta, the source of immediate and ultimate benefit for self and others. Enemies should therefore be looked upon as the object and source of patience. They are as worthy of offerings as the sacred Dharma itself. As regards patience in connection with ultimate reality, it is important to reflect on the following point. If one investigates closely to see where the injury lies, in the aggressor, in the action itself, or in the victim of aggression, one will discover that it cannot be found anywhere. As we have explained, when different circumstances coincide, it is the mind, with its tendency to construct existential situations that fabricates the problem there and then. And if one examines the mind, it will be found not to possess any constant and immutable characteristics. When one tries to trace a design on water, the pattern dissolves in the very instant of its drawing. In the same way, as soon as the violence of hostile thought is allowed to subside, for it is incapable of remaining on its own, unsupported by other factors, a totally pure and spacious state of mind appears, the primordial great emptiness, free from concepts. To preserve this state of openness, this simple presence, in which there is nothing to be lost or gained, accepted or rejected, without being distracted by other things, is called, on the profound path of the Madhyamika, the purification of negative emotions in ultimate reality. In conclusion, the arduous practice of patience has 3 phases: the earnest embracing of hardships, the patient tolerance of the wrongs done by others, and the patience that is a fearless conviction with regard to ultimate reality. If the last kind of patience is lacking, the other 2 can never rise above the worldly path. On the other hand, if those 2 are absent or weak, then however much one may wish to acquire the qualities of the path and fruit, through the practice of generosity and the other 5 parameters, it will be difficult to achieve the object of one's aspirations. Patience. It is comparable to the difficulties encountered in trying to go somewhere, all alone and without an escort, following a path that is haunted by enemies, robbers, and wild beasts. Therefore, we should summon up our courage and train in patience, cultivating strength of heart. Hi, Sam. Hi, Will. Hi, Ben. Okay. Patience is still going on here. This is by Chengawa Lodro Gyaltsen. If it is happiness you seek, first tolerate suffering. Without experiencing tears, you will not appreciate laughter. This is Shanti Deva. Harmful beings are everywhere, like space itself. Impossible it is that all should be suppressed. But let this angry mind alone be overthrown, and it's as though all foes had been subdued. To cover all the earth with sheets of leather, where could such amounts of skin be found? But with the leather soles of just my shoes, it is as though I cover all the earth. All the good works gathered in 1,000 ages, such as deeds of generosity, and offerings to the blissful ones, a single flash of anger shatters them. No evil is there similar to anger, no austerity to be compared with patience. Steep yourself, therefore, in patience, in various ways, insistently. Those tormented by the pain of anger never know tranquility of mind. Strangers they will be to every pleasure. They will neither sleep nor feel secure. If there's a remedy when trouble strikes, what reason is there for dejection? And if there is no help for it, what use is there in being glum? I am not angry with my bile and other humours, fertile source of pain and suffering. Why then take offence at living beings? They too are impelled by circumstance. Although it is their sticks that hurt me, I am angry at the ones who wield them, striking me. But they in turn are driven by their hatred. Therefore, with their hatred, I should take offence. So, like a treasure found at home that I have gained without fatigue, my enemies are helpers in my bodhisattva work, and therefore they should be a joy to me. Since I have grown in patience, thanks to them its first fruits I should give, for of my patience they have been the cause. Very good. This is Seshen Gyaltsap. Look at the real nature of the harm that is done to you. It is as elusive as a drawing on water. Let your resentment subside by itself. When the stormy waves of thoughts have vanished, the mind becomes like the cloudless sky that has nothing to win or lose. This is Patrul Rinpoche. This story about Patrul Rinpoche was told to the author by Nyo Kyen Rinpoche, and it's called Testing the Patience of a Hermit. One of the main concerns of Patrul Rinpoche was to ensure that practitioners remained alert and focused on their training, while preventing them from straying into complacency. One day, he heard about a hermit who had been living for a long time in total seclusion and decided to go visit him. He arrived unannounced and sat in a corner of the cave with a doubtful air and a smirk. "Where do you come from and where are you going?" asked the hermit. "I came from the place my steps brought me from, and I'm going in the direction in front of me," answered Patrul. Puzzled, the hermit continued, "Where were you born?" "On Earth." The renunciate was not sure what to make of this unexpected visitor. A moment later, Patrul asked him why he lived in a place so far from everything. "I've been here 20 years. Right now I am meditating on the perfection of patience," replied the hermit without hesitation, with a hint of pride in his voice. "That's a good one," exclaimed Patrul Rinpoche. He leaned toward the hermit as if to confide a secret to him, and whispered in his ear, "For two old frauds, we're not doing badly, are we?" The renunciate exploded with anger. "Why do you think you are coming here shamelessly to disturb my retreat? Who asked you to come this way? Can't you let a humble practitioner like me meditate in peace?" "And now what happened to your nice patience?" Patrul asked calmly. Very good. Hi, Maya. This is Langri Thangpa. These well-known anecdotes about Langri Thangpa are to be found in many texts. Here is the version from the writings of the great yogi Shabkar even. Once upon a time, there was a couple whose children had all died in infancy. When they had another child, they consulted the omens. "He will only survive," they were told, "if his parents say he's the son of a spiritual master." The mother took her newborn son to the cave where the great sage Langri Thangpa was meditating and laid the child before him, saying simply, "This is your son." The hermit said nothing and raised the child with the help of a devoted woman who lived nearby. Time passed, and the rumour spread that this pure monk had sinned. A few years later, the boy's parents came respectfully to see the hermit and gave him generous offerings. "We beg you to forgive us. When you had done nothing wrong, we spread a false rumour about you. We owe the survival of our child to your kindness." Maintaining his usual serenity, Langri Thangpa gave the child back to his parents without saying a word. Okay, that's the end of that anecdote. This is the monk falsely accused. One day, a monk of the monastery of Ratreng was accused of stealing a kettle that had simply been misplaced. He went to the abbot. "It was nothing to do with me," he said. "What should I do?" The abbot gave him this advice: "Accept the blame for it and offer tea to all the monks. In the end, your innocence will be recognized." That is what the monk did. That night, he had dreams of good omens indicating that his whole being was deeply purified. A little later, they found the kettle, and the monk was cleared of all suspicion. When the abbot heard the news, he concluded with these words: "That's the right way to behave." Okay. Right. Yes, I'm going to do one more of these 6 virtues, so I would have done half of the chapter. So this third virtue of 6 is called joyous effort, which sounds good. This is from Kangyo Rinpoche. The 3 kinds of laziness. 1. People are inextricably entangled in the affairs of this world. They are engrossed in them, overwhelmed by the bustle of mundane activities and society. They cling to their dear ones, they repudiate their adversaries, they immerse themselves in the accumulation, preservation, and increase of wealth. And from all these cares they cannot free themselves. They are like silkworms imprisoned in the cocoons of their own making. 2. Moreover, they are overpowered by the laziness of discouragement and tell themselves that they are unable to accomplish even those achievements of Dharma that are only slightly difficult. Destitute of energy in the practice of virtue, they constantly postpone it. 3. They put themselves down with thoughts like, "Oh, but how could I ever do such things?" To wallow in this kind of depression is to cut oneself off from the Dharma. People like this have no chance of gaining freedom, foundering as they do in... Is it really floundering? Anyway, foundering as they do in the ocean of these 3 kinds of laziness. It is as though they were on a leaking ship. They have no prospect of gaining the other shore. One should overcome those 3 kinds of laziness with a courageous, armour-like diligence, impervious to any adverse circumstance, and never transgress one's pledge to benefit others, nor allow one's diligence to weaken, either in intention or action. This indeed should be irreversible under all circumstances, regardless of the qualities of the path that might arise. Well, that's us told, isn't it? This is Shakyamuni Buddha. I have shown you the methods leading to liberation, but know that liberation only depends on yourself. This is Milarepa. Without expecting quick results, practice sincerely until your last breath. And this is Dilgo Gyaltsen Rinpoche, an anecdote illustrating determination. One day at Samye Monastery, the great master Ma Rinchen Chok participated in a philosophical contest with Gyalwa Choyang, a disciple of Padmasambhava. When Ma realized he had lost the debate, he said to himself, "I will go to India to deepen my knowledge of the teachings." And, rising immediately, he ran for the first few miles of his journey to India. Our desire to learn and practice the path should be as ardent as that. This is Gyalwa Yangompa, I think. As an old parchment that curls around itself, negative tendencies tend to come back. New habits are easily destroyed by circumstances. You will not cut through delusion in an instant. All you who consider yourselves great meditators spend more time in meditation. And Milarepa says, finally, at the beginning nothing comes, in the middle nothing stays, in the end nothing goes. So, Milarepa is saying here that at the beginning of spiritual practice, nothing seems to change in our way of being. Then, after some time, changes occur, but they're not stable. Finally, when our practice becomes stable and deep, our inner peace, wisdom, and other spiritual qualities are no longer subject to fluctuations. That sounds good, doesn't it? Stability. The end of half of chapter 8, I think. That's the first 3 of the 6 virtues. Lots of birds here today. Hi Lucy. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. Yeah, lovely jubbly. I think it's a bit long to do the rest of the chapter. If you want to, we can close our eyes and get comfortable, sitting or lying. And take some clearing breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. your shoulders back, let your chest be nice and open. And when you breathe in, let your belly go and expand. And keep breathing in through the nose and out through the nose now. If you find your mind is wandering, come back to what you can hear. Maybe what you can feel where you're sitting, where you come into contact with the seat or the floor or the bed. Today had a mantra, what would it be? If you have an intention for today, or maybe you'd like to have one, mine is going to be, may I practice and enjoy patience. May I practice and enjoy patience. And you can use that too. And whatever your mantra is, you can say it to yourself in your head or out loud. Start to bring your awareness to your feet. Maybe they are touching the floor. Maybe they're touching the chair or the bed. Give your toes a nice wiggle. Maybe give your fingers a wiggle. Feel that energy within you, that capability and that strength to have discipline, diligence and patience. And when you're ready, Gently blink your eyes open. And that's it. Have a lovely day. Happy Monday. I'll do the rest of the chapter soon. I hope you're well. If you're not well right now, I hope that you're okay, and I hope you get better soon. Alright, bye.